Ready for slide number 4?
I think we're ready for slide number 4.
I don't know if you need to be inside or outside watching.
I got my half mile in.
Spent the last couple days in Brownwood and had a fabulous time. It was just great seeing Pastor Mark and the kids. We haven't spent that much time with Pastor Mark and his family since they were called away from our church 2 years ago. It was just great, restful. It was fun sleeping in the camper the couple nights. You know, a couple things were hard, just not having homes for things yet and being like, we're only in it for 2 days.
And not having all of the things.
And not having all the things. Like, we didn't have a table, we didn't have, yeah, lots of things we didn't have, obviously.
The spatula.
But it's okay, yeah. Spatula. But it was great. It was a great trip. It filled our hearts. We are going to get as far as we can, is my goal for the day. Let's get as close to home as possible so we can tell the kids, hey, we have a short drive today, not a long, long drive. I mean, if they fall asleep tonight, they fall asleep, why stop? Just keep moving. Granted, we haven't set up the rig too many times, so that might not be the safest, but you know, we'll figure it out as we go, and we will have a wonderful day in this truck.
That lucky.
I wanted water. We stopped, we went to the bathroom, and I wanted water. And we have water in our camper. So I went and I asked, like, hey, can we open the slides? Yeah, sure, we can open the slides with the battery. It's hooked up to the truck. It opened an inch and stopped. And now it won't go back in. We've got the tool, the guy told us to close it manually. That's in our dresser. We can't get to that even if we lift up our bed. We can't get to that because the wooden platform that holds our bed, it's stuck there. So now we're gonna try taking the truck battery off the truck to power the slide to get it back in an inch and get on the road. Getting hot in the camper. We're getting oil, pizza grease all over everything, and this meal was supposed to be ate in the truck.
All right, so this is basically what we found out. Called the dealership that we actually originally got the converter changed out on, or at least the former owner did. And anyways, called them and they told us that it's like, yeah, actually when they were testing everything, they found out that the batteries in this rig were no good. So they would hook it up to a power source and yeah, they'd hold a charge as long as it was plugged in. But as soon as you unplug the batteries, nothing, zilch, nada. We got no power. So yeah, we've been sitting here without power, and come to find out, we just need a couple batteries. So we got on Google Maps, found out there's just a Walmart, like, I don't know, 1/8 of a mile, something like that, just down the road. So we're gonna go buy us a couple new batteries, get them in the camper, and get back on the road.
There's our camper, sitting at Walmart, trying to get 2 new batteries. Didn't want to carry the batteries, Adam?
You what?
Didn't want to carry the batteries?
No way. That's why they make carts.
Hey, look, you got water.
I got water. So, here, down this. So I'll be honest, I didn't upgrade our batteries. I got the cheapest marine batteries they had. Still 85 bucks a pop. But that's better than some of the other ones that were like $140 a pop. So I figured this will be enough to get us by. I've been shopping a little bit for upgraded batteries that have higher amperage and stuff like that. We'll take care of that later. So, but got our new batteries. We'll get them put in, get on the road.
Today has been an adventure, to say the least. We started out in Brownwood with a camper and I ask Adam if I can open the slide. He says yes. So I go in the camper and I open the slide and it opens an inch. An inch. Obviously doesn't do me any good. It won't close again. We're like, what is going on? Why won't the slide open or close? I'm like, okay, wait. The seller told us that there's the piece of metal. I don't really know. And we're like, okay, wait. It's in the bedroom dresser. Do you know what pushes up against the bedroom dresser? The bed. So we go to the bed and we try to pull up the mattress. And that would be great if all we had to do was pull up the mattress and open the drawer. But the plywood underneath the mattress is high enough that it stops the top drawer from opening. So we're like, all right, well, we can't use the mechanism to manually close the slide and just get down the road. So we're like, what do we do? So we go and pull the battery from Adam's truck to try to use it to close the slide. But the ports on Adam's truck aren't right because, you know, obviously Adam's truck has a car battery and RVs have marine batteries. Didn't know that until today. So that doesn't work. So we sit and we call, our insurance is roadside assistance, get told 2 hours. 2-hour wait for a slide that's open 1 inch or less. Walmart is half a mile down the road. We're like, all right, we'll drive to Walmart. Everyone gets back in the truck. Truck doesn't start. What? Adam checked the port again on the truck, on the battery that he pulled. Why isn't the truck starting? This makes no sense. So we're like, okay, still kind of like an hour and a half wait or more for the roadside assistance. I said, Adam, go see if anyone will just jump us and we can get down the road. Like, we have been stopped for an hour and a half at this point. So Rocky comes to the rescue. He's like, hey, he says, take my cables. Go get them hooked up. I've got to get my daughter something to eat and I'll be right back. I'll be right to you. Wonderful. Great. He comes. We hook him up to the battery that we pulled. Nothing. Dead as doornails. So then we hook him up to the other battery because diesels have 2 batteries. We're like, woohoo, it started. You know, we waited a couple minutes, it started. We pulled the jumper cables off, dies. We let it charge again, 5 minutes or something, pull the jumper cables off, dies. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is the truck was running fine. So Adam checks the terminals on the battery and they're loose. On the battery we didn't touch. Why are the terminals loose on the battery we didn't touch? I don't know. We talked to Rocky, to Rocky about his church, and that was awesome. We told him we were the Abundant Journey, so he liked us right then and there. I kind of think we were supposed to meet Rocky. It was kind of crazy and kind of cool. Spent 3 hours at a quick trip that we weren't planning on. We were making really good time this morning, and we were like, woohoo, we'll make it most of the way home.
We were literally trying to make a quick trip.
I had to put that together.
Sorry, I had to insert that.
I don't know. It is what it is. We're down the road now. We've been driving for a little while. Could have definitely been 3 hours further. Kids are doing so great. Just weird that the water bottle leaked in Adam's truck, which is why I needed extra water, to a terminal that we haven't had any issues with, never. Disconnected from the battery today at the same time that our camper slide wouldn't. I don't know. Just a weird couple circumstances. And then I was thinking on the drive, I was thinking early, I'm like, ooh, we haven't hit our initiation of owning the camper yet. Like, maybe we're not going to. Maybe we're not going to have that first time going out to Story. Oh, but we do. But we do.
I think we earned some kind of badge, right?
We get a badge today?
You get a badge if you get stranded at a gas station for more than 3 hours. I'm guessing that's something, right?
That's something.
Yeah.
Full-time living. Although, camper living, I guess. Or any living, because you can get stranded there for a vehicle.
Right.
So anyways, we are making our way home. I've got a Jacob yelling at me. And we're living the best life we can.
needless to say, our trip down to Texas went fine, but the trip back up to Missouri didn't quite go as we planned. You could definitely say that it did not meet our expectations on how that would go. Even though we'd been warned several times that it's not if you break down, it's when. We just were not expecting to get broke down on our very first trip. But I guess we got that under our belts now. You know, like who would plan a trip like that, right? Who would plan to spend hours in the parking lot of a gas station? Who would purposely go out and say, you know what, this is what I would see being a meaningful, planned trip. You know, like this would be my ideal situation. Like, who would do that? Saying, I want to spend 3 hours at a gas station and then have to drive from said gas station to Walmart with a slide sticking out that far, right? With the potential of it breaking, have to buy 2 new batteries out of nowhere. You know, that wasn't in the budget, obviously. You weren't expecting to have to do that. Like, no one would obviously plan for something like that. No one would have something like that to be their expectation, right? I mean, no one would do that. No one. But yet, here we are. And there's something really funny to say about our expectations. See, because if you think about it, an expectation for us, it's simply defined as a assumption created, or even let's call it this. Let's call it a set of beliefs that we create based upon observed evidence. Now, that sounds like a very large academic kind of definition, but let's think about this in a very simple term, right? You have your history, you have your relationships, you have your the equipment around you, your scenery. Let's call it your scenery. You have all of these things that you can wrap up, and because you take in all of those things, the evidence of all of those things, and you process them, and you're like, you know what? This is my expectation. This is my assumption on how all of that is going to wind up. But the problem with that is all of those is based off of a human assumption of how something is going to go. That's it. It's based off of a human assumption. But what if assumptions and expectations and plans were not on us? All right? What if, just for a moment, we can sit back and ask the big question of what if? What if none of it was under our control? What if God really has things under control? That's kind of weird to think about that whenever you are looking at purchasing batteries you weren't expecting, that you have a blown tire while you're on the road, when all of these things seem to be stacking up and piling up that you weren't expecting. But what if you were to sit back and just simply ask yourself the question, what if God has this? What if God actually has everything under control? Well, see then, that's a new bit of evidence that we are going to put into our structure of beliefs. And not only one little bit of evidence, but what if that is the major thing that you go to? What if that is the first evidence you go to? What if? What if? Just another what if question. See, when things like this come up, there's one psalm that I actually really find comfort in. And that's Psalm 46. And, I came out here to film this. This is actually at, it's called Runge Nature Center. It's actually here in central Missouri. It's a really neat place. It has a big fire tower, lookout tower, and everything. So it would seem like a really cool place to come out and film this little devotion time. But I actually forgot my Bible. So we get to read it from the phone real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. Okay, so this is Psalm 46. Okay, and I'm just going to read the first couple verses real quick. Okay, so God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth gives way. Now I'm going to stop right there because there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Okay, so let's go back. God is our refuge. God is our refuge. Now let's think about this, okay? Because this is something that kind of gets diluted over time, especially here in the 21st century, okay? This is something that's kind of got diluted. This idea of God being a refuge. Now, if you think about it, when this psalm was probably originally created, when it was originally written to the original audience, okay, that's something that we always need to think about when we're walking through Scripture together, okay, is how was this intended to reach the original audience, right? So whenever this was written, we were talking about, like, there were wars everywhere, there were battles everywhere, there was dangers everywhere, okay? So why were they always like hunkered down in cities and stuff like that? Because they always built these really strong, big walls, right? The big stone walls that would surround the city, and they would have lookouts and guards and soldiers all along these walls, okay? And they would always have their bow and arrows pointed out to make sure that no one would come in and take over the city and all this, right? This is the idea that whenever they think about that, that's their idea of a refuge, a fortress, right? We're going to create a fortress, right? So in those times, that's what would have been considered a fortress, because strength, right? That had been considered strength. But the psalmist here is not saying that these giant stone walls or these soldiers with weapons, everything, that's not my refuge. See, I mean, that's something they could physically see. They could physically put their hands on. They could physically walk up and say, yep, that's pretty strong. No, that's not what they put their refuge in. They put their refuge in God. God is my refuge. He's the one I trust in to keep me safe. Not anything that I'm physically seeing around me. Not anything that's physically happening to me. No, God is my refuge and strength. Right? Now, there's a big one here. And this is a little Bible teaching trick, okay, or a Bible reading trick. Let's call it a reading trick, okay? And it's the word therefore, okay? And this is something we kind of say actually at the church I'm currently pastoring at right now. This is something we say a lot, okay? It's the idea of therefore. What is the therefore? Therefore, okay? So we always have to ask ourselves that. What is the therefore? Therefore, right? So in verse 2, therefore we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble and its swelling. Sorry. You see the logic here. The psalmist said, the Lord, God is my refuge. God is my strength. God is the one that I put all of my trust in. God is the one that I trust to lead me, to guide me, to protect me, to be with me when all of this is going down, when tires blow on the road, when batteries go out, when slides don't shut on campers, all of that stuff. No, see, God is my refuge. He's the one that I put my trust in. And I like to trust that He has this. He has things under control. So let the mountains roar and the waters swell, and basically all the stuff that the psalm said, he's basically saying, bring it on. Bring it on, because God is my refuge and strength. So bring it on. Right? Bring it on. So I hope you find some peace and some comfort in Psalm 46 like I do. I consider myself kind of a logical person, and there's definitely a logical argument to it. It's just kind of like, if He's our refuge, if He's our strength, why fear? Why fear? Right? Think about the strongest wall and the sharpest arrows and the sharpest swords you could possibly imagine. They are nothing compared to the refuge that God can offer. And that's my expectation. My expectation is God is here. And He's with us always. And that's my expectation. Again, I hope you find comfort in Psalm 46 like I do. And I hope you maybe got some enjoyment out of our mishaps in this particular episode. There's definitely more videos to come. We're going to be kind of switching gears here a little bit. And we got some announcements coming up because we've had some movement in the ministry. And in light of COVID things and all of that, right? So it's just really good to see God moving and trying to build this, and we're just trying to be wise in what He's called us to do. So just be sure to stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe, like our Facebook page. All that. I just invite you to follow along in what God is doing through this ministry.